Galileo Galilei by Nadia Landon. What special abilities did Galileo have? Galileo was an Italian astronomer and physicist who, among his many achievements, was the first to make and publish systematic telescopic observations of the moon. His contributions to observational astronomy include telescopic confirmation of the faces of Venus, the discovery of the four largest satellites of Jupiter, and the observation and analysis of sunspots. When was he born? He was born on February 15, 1564. What countries were influenced by Galileo? He influenced all major countries with his theories because he founded many of the scientific facts we know to this day. What important dates should be known about Galileo? He was born on February 15, 1564, died in January 8, 1642. In 1586, he invented the hydrostatic balance. In 1593, he invented an early thermometer. In 1595, he invented and improved ballistic calculations of geometric and military compass. In 1604, he measures the supernova position. In 1606, publishes manual for his calculating compass. In 1609, he independently invents and improves telescopes based on description of invention by Hans Lippershey. In 1611, he discovers faces of Venus. In 1612, proposed Jupiter's moons could be used as universal clock for possible determination of longitude. In 1633, he is sentenced by the Inquisition to imprisonment. What economic changes did Galileo cause? Galilean style. This style refers to, among other things, the idealization and abstraction that scientists use in modeling the world out there. There are many concepts and theories used by mainstream economists that have been influenced directly by Galilean style. Consider the rational actor model. Under this model, the actor has perfect information about all angles of the market and is perfectly self-interested and always makes the optimal economic decision. What did Galileo's family look like? Galileo's mother came from a family that had been originated from Pescia and settled in Pisa around 1536. His father was an Italian lutenist, composer, and music theorist. In 1591, his father died as the eldest son, and as the eldest son, Galileo had to provide financial support for the rest of the family. Being a professor of mathematics at Pisa was not well paid, so Galileo lobbied for a more lucrative post. What is the geography of his country like, and how did that affect Galileo? An increase in literacy occurred synonymously with an increase in book printing. Also in 1517, Martin Luther introduced his 95 Theses, which led to establishment of Protestantism and a Christian movement away from the Catholic Church. Art from this period reflects the artists' and society's reactions to the Protestant Reformation. Many Protestants destroy religious work, and instead had a greater focus on landscape, courtly scenes, and acceptable religious pieces. What historical impact did Galileo have? Galilean style. This refers to, among other things, the idealization and abstraction scientists use in modeling the world out there. Galileo represented that he agreed with the claims of Nicholas Copernicus, the 16th century mathematician who impended cosmology by arguing that the sun, not the earth, was the center of the universe. Copernicus's theory had impacted society in a way that people were given more power of knowledge, which science had to its disposal. Many of these scientific ideas, if not all, had opposed the church's beliefs. Physical action was taken by the church to send a message to the public and set Galileo to house arrest for the last 9 years of his life. Who or what influenced Galileo? It seems that his greatest influence was Copernicus because of his theories and observations of the sun being the center of the universe and not the earth, like the church preferred to believe. What other jobs did Galileo have? Despite his scientific progress, Galileo's first job was as an art teacher. At age 24, he began teaching art in the Italian city of Florence. He didn't stay long in this job. His scientific and mathematical powers had been noticed, and in 1589, at age 25, he was awarded the chair of mathematics at the University of Pisa. He worked in Pisa for 3 years before moving to the University of Padua in northern Italy in 1592. Galileo settled in Padua, where he taught mathematics, physics, and astronomy, and made many monumentous scientific discoveries. Did Galileo have kids? Galileo was never married, but did have kids with Marina Gamba. He had one son and 2 daughters, Maria Celeste, Vincenzo Gamba, and Livia Galilei. What was Galileo's love story? Was he or was he not married? Galileo was not married, but did have a brief relationship with Marina Gamba, a woman he met on one of his many trips to Venus. Marina lived in Galileo's house in Padua, where she bore him 3 children, but later on he moved to Florence for a new job. Something mysterious about Galileo. There really wasn't anything about Galileo since he wrote essays, more like books, about everything that he theorized, an explanation for his theories. What was different or new about Galileo than others who came before him? Aside from Copernicus and a few other scientific minds of Galileo's time, everyone else thought that the way of the church was the best, and that the church knew everything that was right and wrong. But there are scientists and astronomers that were willing to go against the beliefs of the church. Are there things about this person that you found offensive? I personally do not find anything offensive, but I do know that many religious groups, mainly Christians, would be offended due to the strike against religion and the church's power and influence over several countries. What political changes did Galileo cause? Galileo presented that he agreed with the claims of Nicholas Copernicus, in the 16th century mathematician who invented cosmology by arguing that the sun, not the earth, was the center of the universe. Copernicus' theory had impacted society in a way that people were given more power of knowledge, which science had to its disposal. Many of these scientific ideas, if not all, had opposed the church's beliefs. Physical action was taken by the church to send a message to the public and set Galileo to house arrest for the last 9 years of his life. What quagmires did Galileo encounter? The greatest obstacle that Galileo encountered was the judgment of his opposers. At the time, there was a limited amount of people who were willing to oppose the common beliefs of the church, so most people would scrutinize Galileo and his theories. Later on, Galileo suffered a house arrest because of his theories and ideas. Was Galileo revered by the people around him? Why or why not? There was a limited amount of people who really admired Galileo, but the ones who did admire him with great devotion. The people admired him because he found new reasons and explanations that were just ideas or myths. He presented his ideas with bravery and did not fear the consequence of his actions. They admired him for his newfound discoveries that blew their breaths away, for the fact that he was able to present. At first, what social changes did Galileo cause? At first, Galileo's ideas were resented as they contradicted the ideas of the church that the church proclaimed to be correct, but the church did not take any offense at first, because they believed that he was simply expressing his own views. But when he explained them to others and gained followers, the church finally saw a threat. Since the church had high power, they warned him off, but he did not listen and published many books about his ideas. And so the church decided that he would be put into house arrest, and that they did. What time period did your person live in? Galileo was around the early modern period and lived through the Elizabethan era and the beginning of the Protestant Reformation. What unit in AP World History does your person belong to? I would say Galileo belonged to Unit 3. Did your person produce anything of value to the globe? He engaged in making a telescope with about 3x revolution, originally and later made up to a 30x. He improved the earlier models of the geometric and military compass, built a thermometer by using the air in a bulb to move water in an attached tube. Was Galileo a winner? Yes, he was. What makes this person extraordinary? Why should this person be remembered? What makes your person supreme, or good or bad, enough to study? Galileo can be considered extraordinary because he discovered things no one else could have imagined and presented them even though he knew that they were against the views of the church. He should be remembered because he lived behind his viewpoints, not once faltering in his theories and ideas, and didn't care that because of his beliefs he could suffer great consequences. He dared to die with his beliefs. Galileo's major discovery in science should be enough to make him supreme enough to be studied. After all, he is considered the father of science, and modern physics.